We're live. Hi, Sarah.
Hi.
This is
There we go. A cup of Joe.
with Abby.
Thank you for joining us this evening, afternoon. Wow. Where'd the day go?
Yeah, no kidding. This is Sarah, one of my good friends. We've known each other for, she says, 8 years. I was going to say close
Nearly
to
a decade.
But today we are going to be talking about postpartum depression. I think it's going to be mostly you guys. I'll have a lot of questions, I'm sure.
Why not, Joe?
Why wouldn't
Okay,
You don't have anything to contribute.
Yeah, you don't have any input?
I can't say that I've ever experienced it, but So both of you guys have kids, so you're experts on the subject. I would
Well-
think. I mean, like,
I wouldn't say expert, but I have a lot of personal knowledge on it, but I wouldn't consider myself an expert because everyone's different.
true.
Yeah, remember, we're not experts, Joe.
Oh, that's true. We're not professionals.
We're not professionals.
Experts. We're just telling our stories. So I guess the first thing is, what's your definition of postpartum depression? Like, what's your definitions? What's your experience? What's your, like, general overview of it? Like, what have you guys went through?
Well, I feel like I'm still kind of in it. My daughter is less than 2 years old. She'll be 2 years in a month. And like, people say it's just like, oh, you just get sad after you have birth or whatever. And it gets more than that. Like, I didn't have anything extreme, but like, having a newborn is pretty isolating, even with a village. And like, you feel like you're the only one who can do anything right sometimes. And even with help, it's like, it's just, you feel like you're the only one who can do it. So then you're exhausted, and that plays into it. And then you go to the doctor every whatever weeks, and then they're like, oh, how are you doing mentally? And you don't want to tell them that, oh, well, I'm really freaking struggling.
Right.
So it really, like, for me, it was more like postpartum anxiety. Like, I just continually would think that she wasn't breathing. So even if she was napping, I'd have to like go
Check
in
up on her.
and make sure she was still napping or still breathing and alive. And that would end up waking her up because she would like smell me and be like, oh, my mom's here. I better wake up. Time to eat. Like,
Right.
so, and like, in truth, I would envision like just dropping her. I'd be holding her and I'd be like, oh, I'm gonna drop her. I'm like, wait, no, I'm not. I have a good hold on her. But it just is wild what motherhood has done to my brain.
Is that okay for the dropping the kids thing? I know it's a joke a lot, and my family kind of joked around about dropping us kids. Is that something you kind of get over, like, eventually? Or is it something? I'm kind of curious because I think both of you guys have one kid, so I wonder if it's different for people that have multiple kids, where the second one's like, well, yeah, if they fall, they fall, or the third one's like, yeah, they'll be fine, type of thing. Or is that not normal? I'm curious.
I've gotten better at like, my husband's been very like helpful in that regard, as far as like letting her experience things and fall instead of me be like, no, don't do that, don't run on the cement because you're gonna fall and crack your head open. Like, so I know, like, being a first time mom, it definitely is like heightened, and I'm assuming by the second one you're gonna be like, if we decide to have a second one, we'll be so busy like worrying about our first one, and then this one that like the things that I did with my first kid, probably I'm not going to do the exact same with if I have a second one. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
I don't know. Abby, do you have any? Yeah.
I only have one child. I have my daughter. She's 12 now. That's a whole different battle, but
12 going on 20.
Preteen.
Yep. Yes. I never was afraid of dropping her. I had my 2 younger brothers that I kind of like helped bring up because of some stuff that happened, and I was never afraid of dropping her, but I did throw I was playing with her and I was like throwing her up, and I accidentally hit her head on the ceiling. Talk about like mom, let's throw in that mom guilt there. Like, I'm having fun with my kid, where she was laughing, we're having a great time, and I, like I said, playing around, and she hit her head, not hard, but she hit her head on the ceiling, and that was the last time I did that for a while, because I felt so, like, I wasn't worried, we were having fun, and then all of a sudden I was worried, because I was like, great, now I've damaged my daughter.
I've actually got a story for that one too. I was probably 5, I think, and I was playing wiffle ball with my mom, and she had a bat. I was throwing the wiffle ball to her, and we were only standing about 10-15 feet away, and she cracked it, and it came back and just smacked me in the nose and broke my nose, and there was just blood everywhere, and I'm crying. And to this day, if I mention anything about it to my mom, 30 years later, anything, and she'll start tearing up, and I feel terrible about doing it, but
that mom guilt is strong.
It is.
Like our daughter is just starting to walk, like, well, not just starting to walk, but like getting more sturdy, whatever. Well, back when I'm a teacher, so like back during the school year, she was like still a little wobbly, and she wanted to do the outside steps leading into our house, and I have my hands full of all of my teacher bags, so I was like, okay, fine, and I'm behind her, I'm right there, but my hands are full. She misses the step, crack. Luckily it's not cement, it's wood, but still, I dropped everything right there. I scooped her up. I called my husband. I'm like, you need to come home right now. I just broke her face. And,
Oh no.
I should laugh.
She barely even bled. I gave her a popsicle and she was fine. But like the guilt that I feel even to this day, and now it, like, again, those intrusive thoughts every time she goes up the steps now, I'm like, oh my God, she's gonna fall, and then she's gonna bite her tongue off, she's gonna bite her lip off. Like, it's a lot.
So our first place that Eric and I had together, most places have stairs, I guess, but it had stairs leading upstairs. And I had a gate in front of it, and she had figured out how to crawl over this gate, or climb up over the gate to get on the steps and go up. She's at the top of the stairs. I start freaking out because I'm like, oh yeah, she's gonna tumble down these stairs now. Yeah, basically, like, let me get you. She didn't, but thank goodness. But I did. I was freaking out, panicking, and that mom guilt. Like, if she falls, what am I gonna do? She's gonna break a bone, something. I'm gonna have to take her in. The doctors are gonna judge me. Worst mom ever.
Yes. And it's like everybody's perception. I'm like, why do the random people in the grocery store, why do their perception of me matter?
Right.
But like yesterday or 2 days ago, I was in Meijer, and she was a happy little clam screaming, but she was like at the top of her lungs. Screaming. I'm like, happy screaming. Like, she's not throwing a tantrum. Yeah. She's literally like thinking she's hilarious, having a ball. And I'm just like, oh my God, be quiet. And like, people are looking at me, and I'm like, you know what? Why do I care? Why do I care? But I do, and I can't. I'm like, people are going to think I'm hurting her, but she was like giggling at the top of her lungs. Like, it was a great time, but I just felt like so uncomfortable. And I don't know if that's because, like, as a kid, when I was a kid, like, you can't make any sounds in the store. You don't act up. You don't do anything, because that's reflects poorly on you as the parent. And it's like, I need to get that out of my brain, because like, she wasn't hurting anybody. She was being fine. She just was like screaming at the top of her lungs.
Kids are there to be seen and not heard. I think it was one of the big things.
Yes.
Yeah.
When Erica was a baby, so I would take her, I'd go to church with my family and everything, and whenever she would just even get slightly fussy, I would be like, oh my gosh, I have to feed her, like, I have to nurse her now because she's getting noisy in church. Oh my goodness, this isn't a good thing.
Oh, heavens forbid.
And, I will say, thankfully, like, the church, like, there were people that came and talked to me, like, it's okay, it's fine, and I'm like, yes, but no, because I know how other people were. I know how I was raised, and I was like, oh my goodness, be quiet. Shh, we're not here.
Yeah.
Where's my blanket? Let's feed.
we had a funeral recently, and like that was our daughter's first experience like in a church,
Quiet
and it
setting.
was a quiet setting. And like the second she started making a peep, I look at my husband, I'm like, do I take her to the cry room? What do I do? And like I had to walk in front of all these people while she's like crying. I was like, it's not, I'm not a bad mom. I'm not a bad
Everything's
mom.
fine.
Everything's okay.
But again, just like thinking that other people are thinking you're a bad mom or a bad parent is so nerve-wracking.
Yes. And it's like, and I don't know if it's because like there's so much out there right now with like what the right thing to do is, what the wrong thing to do is. There's everybody's got an opinion on something, and it's like if you're doing something wrong,
Right.
like someone's gonna tell you about it. Like God forbid I leave the house and my daughter doesn't have frickin' socks on, because every boomer in this world is gonna tell me she needs socks on. Like,
Is it?
you,
Is that something you guys have to deal with a lot? Is other people coming up and saying you need to parent your kid this way, or you need to do this, or you should do this, or you shouldn't do that?
oh yeah.
Personally, for me, it comes more from family than it does.
Yep.
I mean, I've had strangers come up and like say, "Oh, like your kid's being well behaved," and I'm like, "Thank goodness."
Great. Thank you.
It's a good day. But like when it comes to like criticism, I hear more from family. So here's a little story. So I tried to breastfeed my daughter. Like that's what all of my family members did, and they were all like, "Oh, you have to breastfeed." Okay, so this is what I have to do. I had my daughter when I was 18, had just turned 19, and so like
Oh my God.
I was young, so I'm like, okay, like I'm gonna listen, like they know best, right? I wasn't providing my body was not providing the milk that she needed. She was not getting what she needed, like when it came to nutrients or vitamins, and she was like, I mean, she was healthy, but she just wasn't getting what she should. So I started, I shouldn't say my mom, we started doing formula or like rice in like my milk, but it was so nerve wracking because I had my one cousin that was like, well, you need to breastfeed. And I was like, what do you think I'm trying to do? Like, and I'm not, my body's not providing for my daughter. So again, I'm a bad parent now. I'm a bad mom, and I can't provide for my kid, even though she's fine. Oh, she's fine.
Yeah. You're right.
She turned out okay.
Yeah, we'll see. We got a few years yet.
Yeah.
Jokes.
When I had the opposite situation, I was like one of the first people in my family to like breastfeed for a very long time. Like none of my aunts did, but then my cousins only did for probably like a month or so, and then it just wasn't working for them.
Yeah.
I breastfed for 18 months.
Nice.
And like I had family members being like, oh, you better get her off the boob. She's never gonna be independent. She's always gonna need you, and she's gonna be 5 years old on that boob because you won't cut it off. And it's like, she's not even 2. Like anywhere else in the world, it's acceptable to breastfeed, and like the APA or whatever, the American Pediatrics Association wants you to breastfeed if you can until they're 2. Like is the recommended thing.
Yep.
Like I was happy I could go more than a week. I didn't think it was actually going to work for me, but like I did it for 18 freaking months, and I had people like telling me how great it was and this and that, but then also my family was like, no, you like you got to get her off, like or she's going to be so dependent on you and all this stuff. And it's like, I can't, and you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't.
I was just gonna say
if I would have,
you're not gonna win.
If I would have formula fed, like, oh well, why aren't you breastfeeding? But if like you can't please everybody. Is what I've learned. The very like, not even I haven't learned it in a hard way, but like I just am learning it slowly. Like I'm never gonna please everybody, and she's doing wonderfully, and she's thriving, and I'm doing okay.
You did something.
And I have
right?
to remind I'm doing something right. I don't know what, but I'm doing it.
That is one thing. If I could go back and do it over, it would definitely be like, knowing what I know now, I would have my own plan, and I would tell everyone just to bug her off, because I'm doing the best that I can. I'm asking for, tried to ask for help when I did need it, but no, there's never a happy medium. There's never, like you said, you're not going to please everyone, so you have to do what's best for you and your child.
Yeah.
And call it good. So I was single, I had my daughter, and I co-slept. And that's so taboo.
Did I. I co-slept until I was done breastfeeding.
See, it was so much easier.
So
it was like, oh my God.
Like, what would you guys define co-sleeping as?
Letting her sleep in the bed with me.
Okay.
I had like one of those boopy pillows, and I would like set her up on it just to make, because that was my biggest fear, because I wanted to co-sleep, just I was so exhausted, but I didn't want any accidental rolling over or anything like that. So I had a little pillow that I put her on, and actually she ended up co-sleeping, bad parent, until about 10, actually. Like, that's, and actually in other countries,
that's so normal.
that is normal. That's what they do, but here we don't, because it's frowned upon. Like, oh my goodness, your child needs to sleep alone. And I think about, like, I don't really like sleeping alone all the time. Like, I like the comfort of having someone, so why wouldn't your child want that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly.
And
like for us, like it was me and then our daughter and then my husband. We have a California king bed, so it's plenty big. And there's now, it's called the Safe Sleep 7.
Okay.
And so you have to do like 7 things. Like, you can't drink, you can't take like any like sleeping drugs or like NyQuil or anything like that. No smoking in the household. And then it's like no blankets on the baby, no pillows, and like no sleep sack. Like, she just had to be in like pajamas.
Okay.
And something else. And so like we followed that, and I literally just slept in a breastfeeding tank top that she learned how to unlatch. So she literally would wake up and like latch out and like
take care of herself.
Pretty much. And then for me, I was not able to like get a deep sleep because I was afraid of like suffocating her. But she was fine. Like, she literally slept so good. She would sleep through the night. She would literally wake up just to feed and then would be done. Like, because we tried the bassinet, or well, a pack and play in the room.
Yeah.
And she hated it. She never slept like in the crib. Right now she's sleeping like in a toddler bed with the railing, and my husband sleeps on the floor and has since she stopped breastfeeding. I'm like, you can come back. Like, it's okay to come back. Like, but I think he also has anxiety about things, but and well, because she's not in a crib, like, she could get out and then just go somewhere, so he wants to be there, and I'm like, you can do that. I'm gonna get my sleep then.
Yeah,
it's my turn to sleep, thank you very much.
Yes, like, because that's the other thing. It's like my poor husband, I not only had like anxiety, but I feel like I had like rage, like postpartum rage. And I felt like it was because I was doing all of like the breastfeeding and that, and like the night shift, because he's useless at that because he doesn't have boobs that produce milk. So gosh darn it, those boys without their boobs. And so useless nipples. Exactly. And so
whatever, dude.
So like, I would, especially when I wasn't sleepy, and like there was a lot of anger towards him, and I feel bad about it. I'm feeling a lot better. We're almost 2 years, and I'm starting to feel more like myself, though. Like, I still have the anxiety of I want to make sure she's okay, like, while she's sleeping, but I'm feeling like closer to who I was prior to getting pregnant. Just in time to start thinking about a second kid, because that's the other thing. Everybody and their mom is asking me, second, she's almost 2. You don't want them to be too far apart in age.
Yeah. Yeah. Statistically, I believe they say that it's 2 to 3 years that you actually start feeling like a normal human being again.
Yes.
That's a long
just
time
in time to do it all over again. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, 1, yes, it is a long time. But 2, yeah. By that point, you're like, oh, maybe a second one wouldn't be bad.
I held a newborn. Like, Sunday, I held a baby, and I'm like, I could do this again. Stupid. No.
So I recently So I had recently got off birth control. Just like my hormones have been, everything's been terrible. Not everything, but it's been bad. So I got off of birth control, just like try to regulate myself. Anytime I see a baby, now my daughter's 12, and anytime I see a baby, I'm like, oh my goodness, no.
Yeah, uterus, stop.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, not okay.
Yeah, it definitely, like, because before was the only baby that I was, like, interacting with beside, like, other babies that were her age, but now, like, having younger, like, itty-bitties that I'm seeing, like, my cousin is pregnant right now, is due any day, my husband's sister is pregnant, due next month, like, I'm not ready. I'm not ready.
I mean, you can live a little vicariously through them, right? Like, oh, it's so adorable, and then as soon as things get bad, you just kind of hand the kid back.
Yeah, that's fine and good, but that doesn't account for my ovaries saying, Sarah, put a baby in here.
Exactly.
Like, my brain says no, but my uterus says yes.
Oh, I'm gonna drink to that one. I feel it.
Cheers.
You gotta think with this head.
You're right.
I don't have another head show. This is the only one I got.
Still leads me astray.
You know what I mean.
I will say, I think for me, it wasn't until Erica was like 3 or 4 that I finally started to feel semi-normal again, and it wasn't like just like mentally, body-wise, anything like that. Like, I thought I was okay. I was working out through my pregnancy, and I got slack for that too. Again, damned if you do and damned if you don't.
How dare you be healthy?
If I didn't work out, it was bad. If I did work out, just don't get your heart rate over 140. Anyway, that's another tangent.
That's mom shaming at its finest. It starts during pregnancy. Sleep while the baby sleeps. I'll get your sleep now, but you're a whale, so you won't be able to sleep because you're not going to be comfortable, and you're going to have to wake up every 3 seconds to pee.
Mm-hmm. How much weight did you gain during pregnancy? Why haven't you lost it yet? Why do you look like that?
Yeah. 55 pounds during pregnancy, still wanting to lose like another 20. It's fine. And I didn't do any, like, I feel like I did not like overindulge. I felt like I was good. Like, I walked all the time.
Yeah.
It does not matter.
It doesn't matter.
It does not matter.
It really doesn't. Like,
I was a big pregnant lady.
I was gonna say, I didn't gain weight until after I had her, and that's when I gained like 30 pounds or something like that. And again, just the guilt from gaining weight after the baby, spiraling.
I don't know about you, but breastfeeding hunger has nothing on pregnancy hunger. No, scratch that, reverse it. I've never been so hungry while breastfeeding. I was always hungry. Like, if I was breastfeeding, my husband would have to bring me a snack or something, because I had like a whole tote of snacks by my bed. So when I was sitting up with her before we were co-sleeping, I'd be sitting like this, just eating, breastfeeding her, because I was so hungry and like insatiable.
Dude, so again, being 19, I was living with my parents before I moved out.
Yeah.
I would ask my mom all the time to like make me food or make me snacks because I was so hungry. And it's like, you go to the doctor's appointments and they're like, oh, add like an extra 300 to 500 calories because you're breastfeeding. I'm like, that's it? Like, I need more.
That's all? I need like an extra 1,000 to my diet.
Yes. Oh, that was, I don't miss that. I do not miss that, but I was so hungry. And the weirdest thing, I had more cravings breastfeeding than I did being pregnant.
Yes. I didn't really have a whole lot of like pregnancy cravings. Like, my one craving during pregnancy was like a parfait, like a Greek yogurt, vanilla Greek yogurt, berries, like it didn't matter, all the berries, blueberries, blackberries, raspberries, strawberries, granola, and honey. I could eat a giant bowl of that. Oh, that was like my jam. That was the only thing I wanted. That's all I wanted. But like during breastfeeding, I wanted ice cream. I wanted
Yes.
salty, sweet, every single craving. I wanted it all,
Yes.
all the time.
I feel that one. Feel that.
Yeah. And I had to like, did you pump at all?
I did. It was the worst experience of my life. So I was working as a CNA, and they did not have a place for me to pump. And so
That's
I literally, yeah, well, right? Well, we had the break room, but everyone could come in, obviously.
I was going to say, it's not private, though.
It's not.
Yeah. I don't know when the breastfeeding or the Pump Act was passed, but that's illegal now.
Well, right? Like, I just remember, like, I would wear baggy scrub tops so I could sit in a corner in the break room and pump, and we had male staff, which, okay, like, honestly, I was kind of at a point where I was so tired I didn't care, but, like,
by
I was
that
covered.
point, you don't care. Anyone can see your boobs. And
I was
I'm
like,
whipping out boobs
oh, you want to?
constantly
Okay.
trying to feed you. Who cares?
Right?
It's a boob.
Pumping, it's not that attractive, but welcome
Yeah,
in.
you want to see me look like a cow? Because I'll show you.
Right? I'm saying, it's how you feel. But I would just sit in a corner.
I didn't know how my nipples could do those things. I really didn't know. I'm like, what?
Dude,
It does
this
that?
whole section, breastfeeding, was weird. It was weird. Okay, like, one, my boobs looked good for a while, but it was weird what they could do.
Oh,
So weird.
And, like-
Genuinely confused. Like, isn't it just pump and you're good? Like, what do you mean it's weird?
it is the
Rails.
weirdest sensation.
I
Like,
don't know.
so it's
You literally
it's
feel
looking
like
like
a cow.
like a funnel. It looks like a funnel,
Yep.
and it goes over your nipple, and then your nipple goes into the little flange. It's gonna look really good on camera, but the
Yes.
nipple goes into the flange like this,
Mhm.
and it goes. Wah, wah, wah.
So you're literally...
You're literally a cow. Like, you
Yeah.
literally
And
feel
then
like
you
a cow.
watch the milk come out, and
yeah,
it's
and it
like,
goes like... Yes!
and like, so I
Yes.
had to I had to pump at work, and I'm a special ed teacher, so like I usually don't have time to pee during the day. So like the fact that I was going to be taking 3 20-minute pump breaks, my principal was not happy with me.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, well,
What do you
whatever. And
expect?
right. I mean, she was fine, but like she goes, oh, well, we won't have coverage. I was like, you're gonna have to find it, because this is, and I pulled up the thing. I was like, this is what it says in our district calendar, or in our district catalog or whatever, the employee manual. And it's like as many breaks for as long as I need. So like technically I could have pumped all day every day, but I didn't. And I did it during my prep period, during my lunch, and then I just took one like extra break type of thing. So like 2 times where I wasn't even with kids anyway. So it was fine.
Mhm.
But so I had to always bring like a change of clothes because I was an oversupplier. So my mom watches my daughter 2 days a week, so anytime she had her, I would video call her, and it just like would help me produce more. But like we'd be in the call for like 3 minutes, and all of a sudden like it's leaking all over the place because I filled up a whole bottle. Like, so I would always have to like change my clothes. It was terrible. I'd be sitting there bawling because I'd be seeing my daughter on the screen and be like, Mom, I hate this. This is terrible. I'm a freaking cow. It was the bane of my existence.
Jeez.
Like, because then, but I did have a fridge. Like, I had a fridge in my office locked. But the problem is that having special ed students, sometimes they would have to come to the office when they were dysregulated. So I had a picture of a cow on my door that said, "Do not disturb." And it was bright pink.
I'm
so
really
like
glad you
people
can make
knew.
light of that.
Yeah. Because
that
I
would
was
feel
like-
terrible.
And so there was one kid, and he was dysregulated, and he's knocking on the door. He's like, and I'm like, I can't right now. And he goes, you're in there, let me in. I'm like, I cannot. And so it was just like, what do I do? But I like literally, I'm not gonna tell him, hey, my boobs are out. Like,
Right.
like it's one thing for a male coworker, but for a 8-year-old, not the same.
Jeez.
No.
Yeah, it was rough. I'm not gonna lie. Like I hated pumping, and especially pumping at work. Like, just because then I have male teachers who didn't understand, and they'd be like, I'm on my way. And I'd say, okay, well, you have 3 minutes and then I have to go pump. And he'd be like, oh, your whole life is run by your boobs. I was like, yeah, pretty much, kid. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I am keeping a human alive. So,
honestly, sometimes, sorry, sometimes
men suck.
Dude, honestly, I had this was like back in corrections, but she had just had a kid. She was going up to pump, and all the staff would do nothing but piss and moan about how she was pumping all the time. And I'm like, yeah, because she has a baby, you ignorant.
Yeah.
So-and-so's.
Yeah. It's always so frustrating because I'm like, why don't you try having a baby, pushing that out of you, and then pumping?
Right.
Why don't?
And then having to go back to work within 6 to 12 weeks.
Yes.
And being separated when literally a study came out where they said that babies don't realize that they're not still a part of you until they're like 3 months old. Like, or something like that. Like, I could be wrong. It could be longer, it could be shorter, but like, they for a long time still feel like they are connected, like that you and the baby are one person.
Again,
And it's wild.
Going back to like what other countries do that we don't, which is so disheartening, is like other countries have longer maternity leaves, but other countries also provide paternity leaves for the dads too, so that they can actually bond with their child.
Yes.
And it's insane that we don't do that kind of stuff here.
I think it's like a year too, isn't it? Like they get up to a year off. Like
some countries, not everybody.
Yeah. And it's so, like, it's frustrating because, like, well, obviously, one, like, I did not want to leave my daughter. No one does want to leave their, well, I don't think anyone wants to leave their kid. But I'm like, I did not want to leave my kid. Again, mom guilt, mom shame. Like, one, I have to work to provide for her, but I also want to be with her. So I have all this guilt about not being with her. And her dad really wasn't in the picture until she was about 6-ish months old. But again, so I was like, I just wanted to be with my child, and I couldn't. And I felt like my mom and dad actually raised her for a good majority of her life just because I was working. And again, mom guilt, mom shame, but I'm like, I just want to be one of the, I just wanted to stay with her all the time.
Honestly, it like, and I never in my wildest dreams thought I would ever want to be a stay-at-home mom. Ever. My mom wasn't. My mom was like the breadwinner of my family. Like, she worked at Snap-on, and so like she went back to work 6 weeks. That was like their maternity leave. She had us on rice cereal at 3 weeks old, so we could sleep through the night and this and that. Like, okay, I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom for like the entire time. Like, I did not want to go back to work. And in our district, there is an option where you could do like a year of unpaid time or whatever. Who can afford that? I can't afford that. Right. Like, I would have loved to do that. But I got very lucky because my husband was able to take 6 weeks paid paternity leave.
Nice.
So I had my maternity leave right away. And because she was born in August, I didn't have to go back to work until, well, like, my maternity leave didn't really start until September. So I got all of August.
Oh, nice.
And then I, like, did FMLA, whatever. So I didn't go back until middle of November. And it was, like, on a Friday. And then I went back. And then it was, like, the next week was Thanksgiving. So it was, like, really nice. And it was a really, like, ease into it type of thing. And then it was Christmas break. And so I really got to ease into it. And then after Christmas break, because my husband's paternity leave lasted until Christmas break was over.
Okay.
And then my mom watched her. And then she was it was my mom for 2 days, daycare for 2 days, and then my husband's off on Fridays. So, like, I have, like, a dream situation in that sense, but it was still so hard just leaving her. I hated it. Like, I felt awful. I'm like, why am I doing this? I'm literally leaving my beautiful child to go work with kids other people's kids. And then people are like, oh, are you working in the summer? I'm like, no, I am a teacher for a reason. We don't get any benefits ever, but I'm taking this one. We don't get paid over the summer. Just for the people out there who think we get paid over the summer, no. I take money out of my paycheck during the year to spread it out through the summer. It is not paid.
Crazy.
It's a 10-month job.
So question, how do you feel about daycare then? Like, how is that for you, having to have your daughter in daycare?
Hard. So last year she went to a center and it was so expensive for 2 days. It was like $220 something for the 2 days.
Jeez.
A week. So we made that work until the end of last year. And then I looked at my husband. I'm like, first of all, like, I work 4 minutes away from my house. Well, I did. I'm at a new school this year, whatever. But so I work 4 minutes away. I would have to drive 25 minutes to daycare, 25 minutes back from daycare to my school, and then again at the end of the day, because they opened after my husband started work and closed before he got off of work. So like, I was the sole daycare transporter, and my school, the contract hours were till 4:10, so we weren't getting home until like 5 o'clock. It was awful. I hated it. It was terrible. So this year we found an in-home daycare.
Nice.
And she is wonderful. She only has like 5 kids at her house. Like, I get text messages all the time. Like, and I loved my center daycare. I used to work there when I was younger. Like, I loved it. And I knew she was well taken care of there. Like, I always worry with centers because you hear horror stories, whatever, but I knew being in childcare and like during the summers, I always have worked at a daycare. Like, I knew what to look for. And being that I used to work there, like, I really knew like what their quality of care was. So that eased my anxiety a lot. But like, going to an in-home daycare that may or may not be licensed was scary. But I had like 4 people that I used to work with at a different school like sent their kids there, so I had people to like vouch for her that she was good. She's so reasonably priced. Like, I am so happy that we're there. I don't even have to pay over the summer to keep her spot. Like, she's amazing. Which is so, usually daycares make you pay even if you don't send them over the summer for teachers, like, because it's a spot. It could be getting paid, and so I'm very lucky in the situation that I have, because not everybody's like this. Like, my brother lives in Madison, 2 hours away, and they have to send their kids all summer long, even though he's a teacher, because otherwise they lose a spot. I mean, they don't have to send them, but they would have to pay. And they're like, well, if I'm paying, I'm sending them.
No, I can understand that.
I'm very lucky.
That is, I was gonna say, some of the horror stories that I've heard and stuff, I'm always like, so I was fortunate, like I said, I mean, I was a young mom, but like, my parents did when I worked, like, they watched her, they took care of her for me. So I mean, I had that, and I was always so thankful, just like, because I knew that she was taken care of then, just because of all the stories I had heard. I think about it, I'm like, hypothetically, if I were to ever have another one, like, what would I even do? Because I would be so scared to send them anywhere. Like, I would just,
well,
be a stay-at-home
and also
mom.
it depends on your area too, like what's available.
What's available.
Other center, like the center that I sent her to, like, only squeezed her in because I worked there. They had a wait list a mile long, like, and because I only needed 2 days, they were able to like help me out that way. But like, it is horrible right now to have a child in daycare age that like wait lists are like, you are on a wait list for a year. Like, if you're thinking about getting pregnant, you should be on a wait list, because like, some places, at least around where I'm from, like, are like a year, 6 months to a year wait list. So it's like, you have to be on it.
One of my best friends, she does an in-home daycare, and hearing her side of it too is so it's very interesting. But yeah, she's got people on a wait list for her where she's at, and I'm just like, it's so insane to me. And then just like the cost, but
The cost. And if you have multiple, it's like if you're going to a center, it is literally a mortgage. Literally to like
in-home daycare. Done.
I was gonna say, would you be better off just watching your
not
kids
working?
yourself, like be a stay-at-home
Yeah.
mom?
It's
Like
such
if
a yeah.
So one of my cousins lives in the Green Bay area, and like basically she's working to pay for daycare.
Mm-hmm.
Because
That's ridiculous.
like she's making just a little bit more, I think, than what the daycare cost is, but it's like what it's insane, the cost. Like there's no cap on it, and when they're younger especially, like they cost more because the ratio of kids has to be a lot smaller. It's got to be like 4-to-1 or whatever, so you have to staff it with 2 adults at all times if you want more than like 4 kids in the room. And then like everyone has to be like taken care of, like they're not independent, especially at that infant age. So like it's a lot. I mean, it was $220 for 2 frickin' days.
Yep.
So you'd be better off doing your own daycare. You watch your own kid and then watch everybody else's, and you make your mortgage. Like,
yeah.
But like you would have to go through like licensure, insurance, things like that if you want to do it the correct way, so you don't get sued, because if something were to happen, God forbid, like
jeez,
it's a lot.
It's not how it it's not how it used
It's not
to
how
be.
it should be. It's not how it should be.
No, it's not
like,
how it should be. But again,
and especially like being a teacher, that's such a female dominant profession. Like most of my maternity leave was unpaid or like a fraction of what I make. So like for those 12 weeks, it was tight. Like tight. And I was even before this like rapid inflation that we're seeing. Like
yeah.
Let's not talk politics, but I just like
yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, you guys touched on it already, but having your village, your family to help you out, I'm sure helped out quite a bit.
That did. I was to say pros and cons. Pro, because I love my fam. I'm so thankful I had my mom and dad. Con, just because I felt like they were raising her then, because they had their own ideas and things, and I was living kitty corner from my parents. So again, for me being a young mom, it was like I felt like they were almost raising her. So again, like I was super thankful, but also so like, oh, what's the word I want? I was struggling. But again, that was a lot of the mom guilt where I'm not doing enough for my kid. Like, I'm not raising her. I'm literally just going to work. So, we can have a roof over our head.
Yeah. And my mom lives 2 minutes away from me. So, like, I'm also very fortunate in that way that the village is so close. And, like, I would have friends from my school come over after work, like, on their way home, because they, like, would pass my house on the way home. And they're like, I'll just come hold her and you can go shower and or whatever. Like, I'll make you dinner. And I'm like, really? Like, they would just come over and hold her. And it was just like so helpful because for the whole day, like, and because again, my husband works long 11-hour days. So like he's gone from like 7 to 6:30. So it's hard, especially when she was so little, like, because I was the sole thing. Like, she couldn't just go do something, whereas now being home with her this summer, like, she can entertain herself for an hour and play whatever. Like, it's fine. It's exhausting, but it's fine. Like, but it's in those early days, there's like, what day is it? Like, where am I? It was wild.
With your guys' families watching, did they ever? We talked about it a little bit. Did they ever instill anything or like bad habits or anything else that they brought home? Like your mom watches your kid, and all of a sudden your kid's like saying something. You're like, where did you get that from?
So nothing terrible. I love my mom, but like the way she talks to her dog cracks me up. So my mom's dog's name is Gracie, and my dog's name is Wrigley. I'm a huge Chicago Cubs fan. And so all of a sudden Wrigley was like up in my daughter's face and she goes, "What, Wrigley?" And I'm like, "Oh, that sounded like Kiki."
attitude.
It's so funny because like she'll say little things like that, or I'm like, "Oh, that's my mom. I hear her."
Little mannerisms here and there.
So, speaking
Yes.
of that, I had to check in on mine.
Yeah, it's never like my mom is very good at respecting what I'm wanting. Like,
Okay.
even though it's different, we've had to really have that conversation of like, even though it's different than what you did, I'm not saying what you did was wrong. I'm saying I appreciate what you've done. I just like, this is what the studies are showing. This is what my pediatrician is suggesting. So like, this is what we're going to do.
Yeah.
So like, she's very good at respecting those boundaries. And like, if she wasn't, she wouldn't be watching her, I think, like, you know, so we've had those those harder conversations about it. And she might like make an off comment of like, "Oh, well, why are you doing it that way? Because you did it this way, or I did it this way, and you're just fine." I'm like, "Yeah, but we also had bumper pads in the crib. We had every blanket, every stuffed animal, every mobile, and like people were dying. So we know better, so now we're doing better. So
Right.
that's just what it is." So
I was gonna say we've definitely have more information, learning from our parents' mistakes, so that we can raise our children. I want to say I don't want to say better, but better. There's a quote or saying where your parent goes so far, you go further than your parents, and your child then goes further than you. And I think just raising them, like learning from what they did.
They did the best they could.
Well, right.
Now that we figured out some more things, what did work and what didn't work, you're adding on to that.
We're going to do the
and
best
it's
we can.
Like the rice cereal thing, like that, the sleeping situation, like all of those things, like were widely accepted. Like when I was a kid, it was acceptable to sleep on your stomach. Now they're like, "No, don't ever sleep on your stomach as a kid because that you could suffocate." And so like it's things like that where my mom will be like, "Well, you're fine." And I'm like, "Mom, that's survivor bias because not everybody is fine." But she definitely like is able to accept that. And I'm like, just because I'm doing it differently does not mean that you're a bad mom. And again, I think she feels that guilt even 32 years later. Like, well, why wouldn't you do it this way? Like, this is how I always did it or whatever. And it's like, well, that doesn't mean that the way you did was bad. Like, you did the best you could with the knowledge you had and with what the parenting experts and the APA was saying back then. Well,
30 years later, it's a long time to get a lot of info.
There's a lot of things that can change. So
I know
like she took a pill to dry up her milk ducts because she didn't want to breastfeed. So it's like, what is that pill? Like, was that tested? I don't know.
Right? I know my mom, sorry mom, she gets really judgy over the fact, she does, over the fact of babies having, when they're laying on their backs all the time, having flatter heads. And she's like,
needing the helmets.
Yep. And she's like, "Well, you laid on your stomach and I moved you from side to side." And I'm like, lucky I'm not dead. Thank you. No.
Right. I'm glad I didn't suffocate. Thanks, Mom.
Well, right. And it's like, I understand where you're coming from. But again, new studies have come out, different things like.
And a helmet isn't the worst thing in the world.
Exactly.
I'd rather have a helmet than death.
Exactly. I was going to say, helmet over, there's SIDS and suffocation. Yeah. Again, we've learned, we adapt,
like one of the biggest like markers for SIDS has been like smoking in the home is what they've come out with. So it's like that has improved the fact that it's not so common to smoke in your home, that like SIDS rates have gone down.
I wonder if that's going to come back with vaping though too. Like, I don't know.
I guess we'll find out in another
10, 15 years.
20 years.
20
years.
Yeah,
exactly. We'll find. Cross that bridge when we get there, huh?
But I don't know, because it's like vapor instead of like actual
Fumes
smoke,
or whatever,
right?
like the
Right, yeah, it's like because it's a water vapor instead of a
actual material,
tobacco,
whatever you
like,
want to call
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Speaking of medical stuff, do you guys have any funny or gross or sad or whatever else you want to share about with medical situations or having kids that you never thought about?
You're gonna poop on the table if you're having a natural birth. It's just what it is. The nurses are gonna lie to you and they're gonna say you didn't, but like you did. But that means you're doing it right.
I'm going with I didn't, and I'm gonna die on that grave.
I mean, they told me I didn't, but like I know I probably did. Like everybody
I don't know
who okay, that's fine. You can be in denial.
Thank
I'm
you.
gonna accept it.
Bubble of denial. Thank you.
Yeah, that's fine. It's not just the river in Egypt.
Yeah,
You're
Like,
right. I know.
crap
I had a
happens.
pretty easy pregnancy. Like, I didn't really have. I had morning sickness for about like 5-ish months, but it wasn't every day. It was like every once in a while. It wasn't terrible. And like, everything was fine until literally the day before my daughter was born. Like, I went in for my 39-week check, and my blood pressure was like kind of high, like nothing terrible. It was like 130 over. No, that's wrong. It was like
160?
180
Oh.
over 80 or I don't know. Hold on. What's a common blood pressure number? It was like 130 over 80. That's what it was. Sorry, my brain's not working. And so, and prior to that, my blood pressure, like literally the week before, was like 117 over 68, like perfect. So within a week, it went from that to 130 over 80. So she was like, okay, it's a little elevated, but not terrible. Like, monitor it throughout the day until your next appointment. And if it gets higher than 140 over 90, you need to come in. It's like, okay. Literally, I got home and I'm like, Mom, what do I do? Like, she had a cuff that I was able to like monitor myself. And I did like 2 hours went by and I was like, okay, like I'm gonna take my blood pressure again. And it was like 138 over 87. I was like, okay. So I took a shower, like tried to calm down. I ate an ice cream cone. My mom came over, she braided my hair, like, so then I'm freaking out a little bit.
Which
Like, I was trying really hard not to freak out. But so then her best friend's husband is a paramedic, or was a paramedic, and he's like, do you want me to come just like take it for real? Because sometimes the like at home ones aren't super accurate. So I was like, yeah, please come over. And so he did, and it was like 150 over 93. And I was like, okay. So I called my husband, he had to come home. We went in, and by the time I went in, so this is like within 5 hours of everything happening, it was 165 over 116 when I was admitted. Like,
oh my,
it went so high so fast, like within a day, like 5 hours. So we go in, I'm getting monitored, and like we're gonna get monitored, they're gonna send us home, you're okay, we still have another week, like it's okay. They go, no, we're gonna induce you, like you need to go, because apparently like in my urine they like check the proteins or whatever, and it, like the number is supposed to be under 200 and mine was in like the 6,000s, the creatinine or something. So that was too high.
A little bit,
and they're like, yeah, baby needs to come out, like this is what they're telling us. And so they admitted me. I'm like sobbing. I didn't think it was really gonna happen. I didn't feel like I was ready. Like I had my to-go bag packed, everything like that, but like I thought I had another week. And so then they induced me, like they didn't give me Pitocin, they gave me like a little capsule that goes in your no square. And then
I'm intrigued.
Yeah,
I had never heard of this.
It's supposed to soften your cervix to like, because I was only like a centimeter dilated, so like I was not ready.
Right.
And so that was at 10 p.m. They started that. They let me eat something because I had only had the ice cream cone that day. And so I took one bite and I threw it up because I was so nervous. And then I had to be on a magnesium drip, which made me feel drunk. Like, but then I had to be bedridden. Like, I couldn't even get up to go pee. I had to have a catheter put in. And so that was more painful than the labor. Was the catheter, because one nurse like accidentally pulled it. I was like, that's my catheter. Hello. Like, that's attached to me. Like, you stop doing that. And so I didn't want any drugs. Like, I really didn't want an epidural, but I had to be bedridden. I'm like, well, I'm not going to be a sitting duck for these contractions. Like, are you kidding me? Like, no. So I went to bed. I wasn't really contracting. I was only like a centimeter dilated when I went to bed. At 8 o'clock, I was like 5 centimeters dilated. But before the doctor came in, she was like, oh, you're not that dilated, or you must not be that dilated because you're like calm. Everything's cool. And she goes, oh, you're like 5 centimeters. Let's break this water. Let's get this party started. And I was like,
thank you for putting it like that. Like,
we're doing it like 8 o'clock in the morning. Hello, good morning. And then like, my contractions weren't bad. Like, my husband really didn't know how to support me, because the only way he knew I was contracting, I'd go and like take 3 deep breaths and then it was over. Well, about like 7 centimeters dilated, I was like, yeah, let's do the epidural, because they were coming just like faster, so I couldn't catch my breath. And the anesthesiologist, like, Dev couldn't be in the room. He had to leave because it had to be like a sterile field. So I'm contracting and he's shoving this needle into my spine, and he's like, wow, you're very calm. Is this your like 5th? And I'm like, it's my 1st. And so he like had to put the epidural in, and it was like mid contraction, and he's like, stay still. And I'm like, I'm trying.
I can't.
Like, again, I have a pretty high pain tolerance, so it really wasn't painful. It was just I couldn't catch my breath because they were happening so frequently at that point. So then by like 11 o'clock, they say, oh, you're like fully dilated. Let's try a couple of practice pushes. And so I did one push, and they're like, oh, we see the head. You need to stop. We need to call your doctor back. Like, we just called her and said,
it's right now.
And so, because they told me to bear down and give it everything I had. Well, I don't know about you, but like, you tell me to do it, I'm gonna do it. Like, I'm really competitive. Joe knows this about me. I'm pretty competitive. Just a little bit.
Oh, you want me to have this baby? Okay.
Right now.
Like, the running joke with all of my friends is that, like, at my bachelorette party, I got drunk and told everybody I used to be an athlete. And so, like, I used to be an athlete, and I'm going to go balls to the wall and get this baby out of me. Yeah. So my doctor was, like, in the middle of an appointment or something, so I had to wait until, like, 11:30. So they had to keep the baby engaged, blah, 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 blah. So she gets there at 11:30, and I'm not even joking. And so this will come back because I think we'll talk about something else, but My Girl was playing because I had my calming playlist on.
Okay.
And My Girl was the song my dad and I would have danced to at my wedding if he was still alive. And so that song was on, and my doctor was like, oh my God, I love this song. Like, this is the song I danced to with my husband at our wedding. And I was like, okay, this is a great sign. And so all of a sudden, she goes, okay, let's try this. I pushed her out. It was 11:30. She came out at 11:34. We were not playing.
After you're done, you're like, yeah.
Honestly, I'm not even joking you. My husband was like, I didn't even know how to support you. Like, he touched my shoulder, and I looked at him like this. Like, I'm okay. He goes, good job, babe. I'm like, don't touch me, you did that.
You did enough.
So, like, it just, again, pretty simple birth. It was like the blood pressure thing, because then I had to be on the magnesium drip for another 24 hours.
Oh, wow.
And then I had to be put on like a blood pressure medicine for like 3 months after.
Okay.
And then, so I had to stay in the hospital for 24 hours, and then I had to stay in the hospital for another 24 hours to make sure like my blood pressure was going down and the meds were working. So like that part freaking sucked because the magnesium, I just felt like it looked gray. And so then not until I was unhooked from the catheter and from the magnesium drip that I was able to like get up and go shower. That first shower is like the best thing ever. He goes, you literally came back a whole new person. It was like, oh, there's Sara. Like there she is. So I don't know. It was like that was scary because they had to put like the pads on my like the bed railing because like my blood pressure was so high I was at risk for seizure and stroke, like so then I had to like deal with that because my blood pressure was still really high for at least 6 weeks. Like when I went to my 6-week appointment, it was still really high.
Oh my goodness.
So that was stressful. And so like that added to all of that. I think we're frozen.
No, we're good on our end.
Oh,
nope.
But she froze. That's all right. I'll take over from here. Yeah, that first shower, no one talks about that first shower after giving birth, how it just washes away a lot of like, I don't know, for me it washed away just a lot of like the pain, a lot of just the anxieties. It did. I felt like a whole new person, and I will forever be grateful for the CNA that was there after I had my daughter because I couldn't do anything. She took care of me so well, and I will always love her. Because she saw a side of me that...
Was it kind of like a, not just like a physical relief, but like a mental relief too? Yes. As soon as it hits you, it's like, okay, we're
yes. Because I had felt like so drained after giving birth that it was just... Water is healing. Water is healing.
To be nice to Sara, let's just do like that.
Oh, okay.
maybe that'll be a little bit better if she comes back.
Can call back.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's insane. I was kind of waiting for Sara to come back.
She still might. Got a little bit of time in.
Okay.
Okay, sorry,
Yay!
I'm here, but I can't see anything. I don't know what happened.
You're here. You'll have to click on your video button again. There you go.
There.
Okay. Hey.
No, I was just
saying.
Sorry,
I don't know what happened. My internet went out. Sorry.
Oh no, you're good. I was banking off of that where no one talks about the first shower and how healing that actually is. I was saying like my aide that was there, I just remember being so exhausted and she was like, "Can I help you?" And I was like, "Yes, please." Like I don't even know how to tell you to help me, but like, and she did everything. Like she was so amazing, and I was like you said, you feel like a whole different person coming back.
I felt like a whole new person. Like, and like nobody talks about the amount. Joe, this is gonna get kind of gross. I'm sorry, but like the amount of blood that you lose postpartum is
scary.
Nobody like. I never. It's scary. I never knew my first matching outfit with my daughter would be a diaper.
Right.
Right.
Okay, that's new for me.
Oh, absolutely. But they're the best things ever. I love.
Yeah.
They were terrible, but I was so thankful.
Because
I
made little padsicles. So I like prepped with. I put aloe and witch hazel and lavender, I think.
Okay.
And I put it in a big pad.
And then put that in the diaper. Oh, you froze
and then I put that.
First?
I froze it. I prepped before I gave birth. Yes, because so like in like the Freedom Mom kits, they do like the disposable like how you would when you get injured or whatever, and it's like the pop open ice packs. So it's essentially that you shove in the diaper or whatever. But so I made my own, so I had more, and they were a lot more cost effective than the Freedom Mom ones.
Yeah.
And so, the padsicles, they were. If I do it again, I'm doing it like I'm making them.
I'm getting ideas on the off chance that it happens. That sounds amazing.
Be sure to recommend that to everybody.
You should.
I honestly, I do. I have to like. I think I might make some for my cousin. Like honestly, so it just was soothing.
That's a really good idea, though. It's like a little gift, too. Be like, here, put these in the freezer. Trust me, you will thank me. It seems weird, but you'll thank me later. Like,
honestly, and like,
gift ideas.
nobody talks about it. Like,
Start
it
making
just
White elephant gifts.
nobody talks about it. Like, I knew that I would bleed, but I didn't know like
how
bad
to
of it
the
would get.
extent.
and for how long?
Yeah.
For how
I bled
long?
for a long time. Like, I was still bleeding like at my 6-week appointment, I feel like.
I think it was about that 5 or 6 weeks for me also, because I was like, does this as dramatic as it sounds, I'm like, do I have blood left in me?
Honestly, I'm like,
why is it still coming out?
yeah.
That's
Well, you have a
terrifying.
dinner plate size wound in your body.
Yeah.
That's healing itself.
Mhm.
It like that's the size of a placenta is the size of a dinner plate.
Yep. Did they show you your placenta?
No, I didn't want to see it, but apparently, so she was like stitching me up because I tore,
Mm-hmm.
and had to like walk past the bed
Mm-hmm.
to go see. She was I just said everybody's names. Sorry. To go see as she was being weighed or whatever, and he walked by and like he just saw blood, and he's like,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
"It's a good time."
So I had my mom in the delivery room with me because again I was single. Her dad was not around, and so I had my mom, and I was like, which was fine, but I was like, could you just stay at my head? Like I'd really
Head
just
level.
stay at my head level.
Yeah.
One thing led to another. She ended up seeing my daughter born, which is whatever. I guess it's fine now. I was traumatized. I'm like, seriously? And she's like, I didn't want
I'm like,
to
Mom,
see.
I don't want you to see my vajayjay.
Basically, and I'm like, so that was traumatizing enough. But she's like, you were traumatized. I was traumatized. She's like, it is not pretty to see, and I'm like,
Thanks. Yeah.
But because of that happening, they ended up stitched me up. But they were like, do you want to see the placenta? I was like, might as well.
No.
It's disgusting.
I saw it, it was in a bucket. I saw it, but like I didn't want to see it.
Right, like
What are
it
you
was
gonna do to that? Like someone's hauling out like a pile of like viscera
it's in like
in
a
a bucket.
pan.
Like
At least mine was in a pan, and it was the placenta and it was
Yeah, like the bedpan.
Yeah. It was gross,
well,
but
some
kinda
people
cool.
like encapsulate it and like eat it.
Yep. So the
What?
so because of the nutrients in the placenta, you can encapsulate it, eat it, or take the pills, eat it. You can like
Some people bury it, and
Yep.
it's like a ritual that they
Mhm.
bury it in their backyard.
yeah, no, it's a thing.
It is such a cool organ. Like our
It
body
is.
literally creates an organ
Yep.
that then they like. Then it's like this. Like once it's served its purpose, it's done.
Yep.
And you can make as many of them as you want. Like as soon as you start having kids, like I
Mhm.
could make 12 of them if I wanted to have 12 kids.
Yeah.
I'm amazing. My body's really cool.
Right? I am a
I'm
badass.
happy for you guys.
like I don't want to do it, but oh, good for you.
Yeah, well,
It is-
I made one appendix and that got taken out. So, what's up?
You're right. An appendix being removed is the same.
Pretty close.
It's the exact same.
It absolutely.
exact-
You know
pretty
what?
close.
Because of your pain tolerance, it is. You know what? I'll give you that one. I'll give you that. I had someone. We were talking about how many broken bones we had, and they were like naming off all their broken bones, and I was like, I never had any broken bones, but I did deliver a child, so they're like, you win. I'm like, I know.
Yeah. I never had any broken bones, but I've broken people's bones playing soccer and basketball.
Like,
Did you know that Sarah's an athlete?
You know what?
No,
I did.
I used to be.
I
She's
did.
like, oh, yeah.
I did catch that. I mean, birth and athletes over here. Oh, that is funny. Funny. When my daughter was born, there was a massive snowstorm, and we almost didn't even get out of the driveway. My dad had to plow it out, and if we had waited like another 30 minutes to 45 minutes, I would have delivered her at home. It was terrifying. I was terrified. My mother was terrified. Praise the Lord, we were able to get out of the driveway, but we had to drive on the wrong side of the road because that's the only side it was plowed on. I kid you
Gotta
not.
do what you gotta do.
The snow, like, you cannot see on the screen, but there was so much snow. The funny part of this was that the night before, again, there's this massive snowstorm going on. I'm not in labor. Grease is on TV. I knew my brother wasn't going to have school because they were going to cancel it. So I'm like, yeah, let's stay up late and watch Grease. Let's spend some time together. We stay up until like 2 a.m. watching Grease. Gets done, go to bed.
Mistakes.
It was bad. Hour and a half later, 3:30 a.m., my water breaks. Yep. I crawl up the stairs and I'm like, so Mom, my water broke and we need to get to the hospital. And she goes, oh, okay. She looks outside and she goes,
oh no.
She's like, oh, Dan, you gotta get us out of here.
It would. Like,
why wouldn't it, right?
Right.
So, I mean, we did make it to the hospital. By the time we got there, my contractions had stopped and they wanted to do Pitocin on me. And I was like, no, I'm already in enough. I'm tired. I'm overtired. I haven't gotten any sleep.
Pitocin?
That, to make the contractions come back to induce labor again.
Gotcha.
I was like, get me one of those bouncing balls. I will walk up and down. I'll bounce on the ball.
Gravity will do its job.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to do all of that. I didn't want the epidural. I wanted to walk around. I wanted to bounce on the balls, but I couldn't. And it was frustrating.
I was going to say, I opted out not to get the epidural. One, because of comments that were made to me before while I was pregnant.
You don't get a prize.
I realize that now, hindsight 2020. Well, my thing was I got pregnant. So I grew up in a super religious family. I got pregnant out of wedlock, and I was like, this is my punishment. Childbirth is my punishment for being pregnant. Again, hindsight 2020, I would have gotten the epidural.
Yeah.
You're right. There was.
I will tell you, having an epidural, though, I still was able to feel everything. Like mine, what they called the walking epidural, where like I could still move my legs just fine. And like they asked me to like put them up in the stirrups, and like I was able to do that, all of that stuff. And like I could still feel everything. Like my body was still able to like tell me when it was time to push. Because I've heard stories of like women like, I don't feel anything. Give me two. Like, no, yeah. I didn't. I wanted to know, like, I wanted to be the one to push. I wanted to feel it so I could, like, be in control.
Yes.
You know? So, like, just the epidural doesn't take away the pain. It just kind of, like, took the edge off. Like, I still felt all the pressure, and, like, it just was able to, like, allow me to catch my breath.
Okay. Hypothetically, I'm going to take notes on all this for future.
Whoa.
Like I said, I see babies. I want one. Probably not gonna happen, but I want one. I'm like, babies. My cousins, my family needs to start having more babies so I can love them.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm the youngest on both sides, so like I'm one of the last ones to have kids. Like one of my cousins is pregnant right now, but like that's about it.
Okay.
We're pretty much done. Like everyone else has already had like their 2 kids and they're done and like all this stuff. So I didn't have the practice, so I think that's why I was afraid of dropping everybody, because I was the youngest on both sides. I'm the youngest in my family. Like I had no babies to practice on.
Okay. Practice on your own.
Right. So I guess the last thing that we'll do to kind of finish up is we talked about this a little bit before, Sarah. How cool is it to actually see your kid grow up in front of you?
It's awesome, and I'm just like at the beginning of it. So like when I get to have Stevie be 12 years old, to see her, like, it terrifies me just for like all of the things, the unknowns, like the peer pressures, how everything has changed even from when we were kids, where like all of that stuff terrifies me. But like it's so awesome to see her personality coming through, having her get some autonomy. It like makes me sad because, like I said earlier, like my dad isn't here to like see it. She is named after him, so like and so like I genuinely feel, so when my girl was playing, like that was him. That is her on the way home from the hospital. She was like kind of fussing in her car seat, and I like have it in my CD player at all times in my car. And so I said, Dev, just put it on. And he put it on, and she literally stopped crying. We took her right to the cemetery to like go visit my dad's plot. And like she wasn't crying then. She was like happy as could be in her car seat, like by the cemetery. And then like that's now her going to bed song. Like that's the first song, and she'll ask me now. She'll be like, "More my girl. I want my girl."
Aw.
So like it's really sweet. Like
Yeah.
I to feel that, but it also like makes me mad that like he's not here to experience it like with us, and like he would have been an awesome grandpa. And it's really hard to like feel time moving on without him here. And I know like you also lost your dad and your brother, so like I'm sure you can relate to that, but it just really sucks that they can't be here for all of these fun things.
I think about, so I miss when she was 2. I really do. But seeing her grow up and being 12, the fears are always going to be there. They're never going to go away.
Yeah.
We have to accept that.
Yeah.
But it is so fun, just the young lady that she is becoming, and just her independence. And I am so overwhelmed with gratitude and how proud I am of her. I just watching her become this little individual is beautiful. I know that sounds so cliche and corny, but it is beautiful. But I resonate with that. As she's growing up, it's been 6 years without my dad, and I am thankful for the time that she got with him. But it does. I see certain things about her, and I'm like, my dad would have loved to see this. And it does. I do feel you on that one. I feel you on that one. I was starting to tear up a little bit. I was like, dang it.
Sorry.
Joey did not warn me.
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
Oh no, don't be sorry.
No, it's just my fault.
Could have warned me. No, but I mean, I know he would totally. He'd be proud of you and her.
Well, thank you. And like, while I was pregnant, before I knew I was pregnant, I had a dream. It was like right around Thanksgiving, and my dad's birthday is November 25th. Okay. And so I think it actually was Thanksgiving that year. And so all of a sudden I had this dream where he was holding a baby and playing with my niece. And he looked down at the baby and he looked up at me and he smiled, and I woke up and I was like, okay.
Got it.
I took a pregnancy test and it was super early, and sure enough, I was pregnant. And so then on his death anniversary, March 22nd, I had the same exact dream. And mind you, we did not find out the gender of our daughter like prior to having her. We wanted to be surprised because it does not matter whether boy or girl, whatever. So I have the same exact dream on his death anniversary. He looks down at the baby, looks up at me and says, "She looks just like you, Sarah. It's like I'm holding you all over again 30 years ago." And I'm like, we're having a girl. Everybody was telling me we were having a boy by the way I was carrying, what I was like craving, whatever. My heart rate, or the baby's heart rate, that was like middle, like 50-50. All of like the old wives' tales was all 50-50. And everyone's like, you're having a boy, you're having a boy. And I said, okay, I'm having a boy, whatever. But I knew in the back of my mind, I'm like, I'm having a girl. So when my girl came on, while the doctor walked in, I was like, we're having a girl. I can feel it. She popped out and it was a girl, and I'm bawling. I'm like, we have to name her after him. So,
oh my goodness.
So I genuinely feel like his presence here with her, and I feel like they are like connected in their souls. But I just would just love to see them together, and like to hear him belly laugh one more time, like with her. One more time at all would be great. So because he's been gone for 8 years, and before I met Joe, like right before I met Joe. Okay. So yeah, I was traumatized back then. It was a long time ago. I was in a world of trauma. I cried all the time.
Don't blame you.
I feel you on that one.
Yeah.
I was to say, when you were telling about your dreams, I got massive goosebumps. I was like, oh my gosh, that is. Yeah.
And like I do have very like tactile dreams when I dream about him, but I don't dream about him often. It's usually like I dreamt about him before my wedding, where he walked me down the aisle and like he gave me a hug and said like, he's the best, like he's exactly who I would have chosen for you,
Mm-hmm.
this and that. Because literally I met my husband and then like we went on 2 dates and then he passed away. So like I've never met my dad. So like for that dream to happen, like I could smell his cologne, I could feel him hug me, like it was wild. And so in these 2 dreams, like I could smell his cologne, and that's was always a huge thing. I loved the smell of his cologne. So like I don't know. I don't know what that means, but like I believe that he's still like
A part of your life.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, and that's
he's
no,
still yeah.
That's awesome. I was gonna kind of bring it back just a little bit to, so mentally, how are you feeling these days? We're going on the almost 2-year mark. Like you said, you're kind of feeling like yourself again, but like how are you feeling mentally? How are you feeling? How's Sarah feeling?
I feel like I'm getting better. This school year was very rough on me mentally. Like it was a rough school year. My school district is going through like big cuts. So like we had to close our school at the end of this year. So like there's a lot of uncertainties of where if I would have a job, where that job would be, this and that. And so I ended up going into therapy this year, which has been like huge for me because we don't talk about our feelings and no negative emotions are
You're in the right
accepted.
company. You're in the right company.
Yeah. So
gonna make pins.
Yeah. And so, and like never, my parents always were like, I never really saw them upset. Like they just, and if I did, I don't really remember it. Like they really did a good job of like not showing them arguing, but in the same breath, like I wish I would have seen that more, because then like I would be better equipped to like have productive arguments with my husband instead of like me being an emotional Italian who like yells and before I think. And so like it would have been helpful to see that, but like I get why they didn't want that, whatever. And so going into therapy was really hard because one of my mom's reactions was, well, you have friends, why do you need therapy? So it's been an adjustment. But my therapist, she practices ACT, which is like acceptance commitment therapy. So like accepting your feelings, committing to like that it's okay, and then like what you can do with like while still so it's kind of like Nike, just do it anxious, just do it depressed, like type of thing, and like it's okay to feel it's okay to feel what I'm feeling, but and like she focuses a lot on like guided, or at least we focus on a lot of like guided imageries where like, and I do a lot of those when I'm like in a panic attack type of thing, because especially with the school year, like I was having a lot of panic attacks. So they've subsided now that the school year's done. Amazing.
Weird, right?
So weird how they've correlated. So yeah, I'm feeling better. Like I'm starting to feel like myself again, like I said. And I'm in the best spot I've been in like 2 years mentally, I feel.
That's good.
Yeah.
That is good. That's good.
Yeah.
That is awesome. No, happy to hear that. Happy to hear that.
Thanks.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, having a kid takes not just a physical toll, it's a mental toll. Like,
it's wild, and like the stuff our bodies have done to like produce a child still blows my mind.
I had always heard about like the endorphin surge, and then obviously how it's a huge drop, and I was, after experiencing that, it is amazing what the body can do, but it is huge. It's such a dopamine drop, and then like you don't know how to regulate that because your body's healing, your mind's like everything's trying to heal, and you've just had this huge dump, and like they're like, oh, here's your baby.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Basically.
Meanwhile, if a man gets a vasectomy, he can't lift anything for 2 weeks, but a woman literally, even after a C-section, is expected to like go you can't lift anything more than 10 pounds, but here's your 18-pound baby with the car seat.
Mm-hmm. That always makes me laugh. It still makes it makes me laugh, or else I'm angry.
Yes.
Laughing.
Medical patriarchy.
Maybe one day it'll make sense.
Maybe one day they'll actually study women's bodies and like how pregnancy actually affects us, and like, because most of the things like seatbelts, like all these things are not made for women. They've only been studied on men.
That's another topic.
I'm gonna come back. We're gonna talk.
Yes.
Yes.
We're gonna come back to that because
we will circle back because that's another day.
I feel that.
We could do that.
Totally can. I like it.
Well, I've had a lot of fun talking. I didn't think I would be able to like contribute anything, so I'm happy this went well.
Yes. No, it was awesome, and thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing with us your experiences or your experience.
Thank you for listening.
It is nice to have another. Like, don't get me wrong. I have family that have had kids now, but when I had my daughter, no one else had babies, and I just felt super alone,
isolated.
And again, especially like with the mental health and how I was feeling, and just feeling like a bad mom, but again, not knowing who I could talk to, because again, feeling so judged. Like, why am I feeling this way?
Judged, yes.
All the judging.
I am totally like that friend now for anyone who gets pregnant. I'm like, if you want honesty, you come by me and I'll tell you what really goes down, because I'm not going to paint rainbows and sunshine. Like, it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't all that either. Like, pregnancy and birth wasn't awful, but I also didn't love it. So, but I didn't hate it enough to not want to try to do it again eventually, sometime way down the road.
In the future. I had my cousin, she got pregnant like after me, and again, a different cousin was pushing the breastfeeding, and she was my other cousin was struggling so hard that I sent her a text, and I was like, as long as your baby is fed, that is all that matters. Like, literally, that's all I sent. That's all I said. And I found out later, she was like, thank you for sending that text, because that meant the most to me, because I felt like I was doing okay then by giving her a bottle. And I was like,
yeah.
There's already so much pressure to be being a mom, being a caretaker, providing for this little bundle of joy that's so stressful. That
little bundle of stress.
Best thing ever, but that it's having all that extra pressure. It's so unnecessary, and I think if every woman would just like stop for a second and be like, this is how I did it. This is what worked, but it might not work the same for you. All I can do is offer my support and love, and if you need help, like, I'll be there.
And I feel like as a society, we've gotten a lot better at that, because like, I think back when my mom was going through it, or like even my grandma, like they didn't talk to anybody about that stuff, because if it wasn't happy emotions, they didn't talk about it. And it's like, I can't imagine a world where like my sisters-in-law were like very helpful, because they both had kids in 2020, so they had recently done it, and then I got pregnant in 2022, so like our kids are within 2 years of each other. And so it just was so helpful to have someone who recently did it, who like would be honest with me and like not shame me, and like I had like a sounding board. I could ask them like, hey, I am feeling like this insane amount of pain and pressure in my crotch right now. Like, what's going on? Well, apparently lightning crotch is a thing where like their head is engaging, and it just is like, it's literally called lightning crotch, Joe. Look it up. It's in the thing.
I did. This is actually a new one for me. I hadn't heard of this.
Oh my God. It's wild. So like, literally as their heads are engaging, it just like, it's painful.
I never experienced that, which I'm thankful for, but my daughter had a tendency to like get her foot in my rib. She would get it. Yeah. Just thinking about it, it hurts all over. Like, I feel it. And, like, she would just get her little foot like in my ribs, and I mean, I guess I know how, but how?
Being 6 feet tall, I didn't have a whole lot of like those issues because I feel like she swam around
She had
in the
enough,
luxury pool. She had a lot of surface area to work with. But what she would do is I think she would tap dance on my freaking bladder.
That
Like literally I could feel her going like
yeah.
doop doop doop.
And you're like, I gotta go. Shoot.
Yeah. I don't
Didn't make it.
Another reason why I had to bring clothes to work when I was pregnant because pee happens, okay?
Yeah, but they don't talk about how that doesn't stop.
No. If I sneeze right now, I'm peeing.
Trampolines. I still love trampolines.
Can't do it.
But I have to be super careful because
You
I'll
gotta
pee my
really
pants.
clench her up.
Exactly. It's never the same after.
Yeah.
Sneezing, coughing, jumping.
Laughing too hard.
Move just right. It's honestly, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's after one.
Yeah.
Honestly.
There's people having like 5 kids out there. No, thank you.
I honestly,
No, thank you.
I don't even know how they still have control of anything after 5.
I feel like they just walk out after that point. Like,
yes.
I wish I had more to add to this conversation. But, like, I'm along for the ride, I guess.
yeah.
Welcome. I was just looking over at the notes now, and I think
we're about good.
I think
we
so.
covered everything.
I think so.
Yeah.
Look at us go.
Look at us. We did it.
Yay!
Well, hopefully, Sarah, you come back with us
Yes.
sometime and
We would definitely love to have you again with
talk about something else.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is fun.
How everything's made for men and not women.
Ugh.
Well,
I have.
we'll get to that one. We'll get to that one.
Mental health.
We
and
can
men.
definitely. Yeah.
Let me get mentally prepared for that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, thank you guys. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Sarah.
Yeah.
I'll plug in our socials real quick. That's my job.
Please and thank you. 'Cause I hate it.
Thank you for joining us today, and please check out our links. Check out our socials. We have Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I'll be honest, I was really lax with the socials the last couple of weeks. My mental health hasn't been great, so I am going to really strive and work on the socials. So if you check us out, like, follow, share, all free things, that'd be awesome. Thank you.
All right.
Awesome.
Thank you again, Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah.
Yep. Thank you. Bye.
Have a happy 4th.
Thank you. You too. Bye.
Bye.
See ya.